Okay, alright, welcome back everyone. So today we're going to go over how to set up your saved squads in the best way for Blitz and War, both at the same time, because one will benefit the other and vice versa. So essentially you want to start with meta teams. And we're going to go and do all the meta teams right away, which I've already done for the purposes of saving time. But essentially you got your shield, Coulson version, you got your defenders, your Kree, your original Avengers, you got your Wakandans, you got your Supernatural, you got your CM Brawlers, Captain Marvel Brawlers, the defense version, you got AIM. This is slightly different. There is supposed to be a different character here, but I prefer this Infector guy. That's just my preference. You got your Sinister Six, your Fantastic Four, your Power Armor, and your Asgardians, which is very new. Then, once you have everything you can build here, note Phoenix is missing because I do not have Phoenix. I have Cable in for Phoenix. That would also be up here if you have that ready to go. That aside, Brotherhood is what I call a variable team. The Guardians is what I call a variable team. And Marauders would also be a variable team. Ultron would be a variable team. Variable teams are the teams where they're not necessarily meta because you have to kind of change a couple of tunes in each one depending on what you have and what your other teams are. So technically, Brotherhood is the only one that can be considered a meta, and that is only because once you have the Marauder team, you have to pull Mystique here and Sabretooth and bring them down into the Marauder team with Strife and Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister, which I don't have, which is why my Brotherhood team is normal. Now, essentially, you could bring Mystique early if you want 3 out of the 4, and you can replace her with Venom. And then you replace Sabretooth with Crossbones. And that is how you would do the Brotherhood setup. And then Hand is also a variable. Even though it's Hand, you can't really go wrong. This is the best possible setup for here. You want the main 4, the healer, the leader, Elektra, the invisible dude who does the invisibility for everyone, and then you want the archer. That's how that's going to go. You can technically have Thanos in here instead of Drax, but we're going to keep Thanos for Ultron. That's what makes this variable. And then that's how the Guardians are going to work. Standard Guardians replace one healer with another healer. And then this is Scraps, which will eventually be turned into my Marauder team. And then this is also Scraps because Venom's going to be moving. Carnage, technically you need him for the attack version of CM Brawlers. And then more Scraps here, which is, it's not really Scraps. This is pretty much what you'd be left over with for a Hero, Ant-Man, and the Wasp team from everything that you have. You don't really have a choice to make this much better. I mean, you could put Gamora in here for someone if you really want to. That's really about it. You don't really have much more to work with there. And then you can probably make a mercenary team once Strife is out of here. But you're not going to have more than 20 slots to do that. So mercenaries and Ravagers are just off the chart. They're not there. All the extra Hydra guys and the little minions that are left over. Until they add some more slots, we're about I think like 2 or 3 teams short on the squads already due to all the new characters, even with the 20 teams instead of 15. So it's a good thing that they upgraded that. So in order to build these extra teams as efficiently as possible, once you have all of your main teams that are for sure, they are the meta, you can't change them, you have the 5 tunes in each one. Power Armors is supposed to be Fantastic Force, it's supposed to be whatever it is. You're going to go and use them in Blitz right away, and you're going to use them all in order from weakest to strongest. So for me, we're going to go back in here really quick, and you would essentially do them from Maya's Guardians team all the way up to the Fury team, just to get the most points for the Blitz at the highest tier that you can get to with whatever you've already built. You might as well be slightly efficient about it. And then when you go to change your team, everyone you've used will have a cooldown timer, and then you can start building, half of the Brotherhood team if let's say you don't have the rest, or half of your Mingardian team. If you're not sure if you want to use Thanos yet or not, you can just pick the 4 and then you can decide. And then once you've decided, you ready up, you go in battle, and then they also have a timer. And make sure you save the squad, obviously. And then that's how you're going to work down to just fill the spots that you're missing. Because I'm going to say most players don't have all the characters. It's definitely a very, very late game type of thing. and it's really, really uncommon for a lot of players to just have everyone ready to go. A lot of players have things untouched, and that's just how that is. I mean, if we go into my achievements, I have 584 days logged in on this game, and that's a lot. That's a lot of time, and I still don't have all the characters. I'm still missing a few because you can't work on everything at once, and there's still some new characters. Ultimus is a no-go for me. That's going to take a while. And then Black Bolt and Yo-Yo are new. Mr. Sinister, I didn't quite make it. I kind of got busy for that event. I couldn't make it to what I needed to make it to. And then Phoenix, almost there, really close. I just got to finish off Loki and Hand Assassin here, and that'll be done. So yeah, taking a while, but back to the point, that's just how that's going to be. I do have a nice counters photo here you guys can take a look at. I will zoom it in. Oops, that's my business logo. Alright, so essentially you just stick to this and you'll know what most of the meta teams are. Not all of them, like 99% of them are here. The important ones anyway. There's a couple that are missing. But that's where you're going to kind of start to see that like Brotherhood is where the Venom gets replaced into there. Then you got the attacking Captain Marvel team, which has Spider-Man. I said Carnage earlier, but it's actually Spider-Man. It's not Carnage. And Gamora, which is completely different from the Defenders version of the Brawlers team, which has Miles and America Chavez. Completely different. And then lastly, we got this. This is my final version. It's got everything you could need. So down here we got the exact must-haves. So this is essentially what I was showing you guys before. You can pause to take a look at them if you would wish. I don't want to zoom too far in so that you can get as much as possible. So I'll stop here for a second, and I'll stop here for a second. So you can also see my war stuff up there, and then I'll zoom out for a second. That's the entire thing. And maybe I'll get a link below, but I'm not really sure how to accomplish that without sharing some of my personal files. So, and now you have your variable teams on the right here. Now you can see that Venom's going to go to Brotherhood, and then she's going to go to Marauder if you need to do that. Quake is eventually going to go to Inhuman, and you're going to have to replace her with something else, unfortunately. You can technically remove her and maybe even Captain America. You can throw Captain America into a Power Armor team if you want, and then you can put Wasp and Ant-Man in here. And then Phoenix is obviously going to go where Cable is. And then you have your defense, and this is how your defense is going to be. So you're going to replace this team with the Punfenders and this team with the Wakandans. Once you get them, you can get your scraps out of the way. If you had every character and life was perfect, then with these two replacements, this is the exact team lineup that you're going to want to have on defense because they're completely useless to you on attack, especially Coulson and the Asgardians. They have to be on defense, and that's exactly how that's going to work. And then back to your setting up your stuff here. So assuming you have all of the characters, for your Inhumans, you want to take Quake, you want to take Miss Marvel from CM Brawlers, and then Cable would probably be the only fifth without compromising some of the other teams. It really depends on what's out by the time Inhumans are completely ready to go, because right now there's only 4 of them. We have no idea if there's going to be a 5th one, or at least I have no idea if there's going to be a 5th one. For Marauders, you take Mystique from Brotherhood and you replace them with Venom. You take Sabretooth from Brotherhood and you replace them with Crossbones. And then you can replace Crossbones in the Ultron team with Carnage, because these are the guys I like to have in my Ultron team. I really like Crossbones there. He is a great Ultron counter, especially when you're doing Ultron against Ultron and you have a Crossbones. It's amazing. And I have Thanos there, specifically not in the Mingardians team down here, so that he can give Ultron time to build without having to risk Crossbones dying by using his taunt. And then you get that explosion off, all of Ultron's minions are gone, and then you can wipe the board clean. It's super, super nice. And then you have the invisible heal for backup in case either one of them decides to take too much damage for whatever reason, not that it's their decision. And then moving on, the Ravagers, Nebula or the Mercenary Riot Guard would be the 5th for the Ravagers, but obviously they're not going to have space here, so if you really need a team to boost clear, maybe get an extra turn out of it to clear an ult or something like that, Ravagers are a good option. Offensive CM Brawlers, Carnage and Spider-Man aren't required in their current teams. I keep thinking Carnage goes into the offensive CM Brawlers. I remember seeing him in the offensive CM Brawlers at least one meta ago, which was like 2 or 3 months ago. And then if you need Gamora, just take Gamora, it's fine. And then put the guys you need in the teams, in their teams, and it's fine. And then for Ultron, I just explained how Ultron works. And then the war list shows the scrap teams to be replaced. So once you have the Pun Fenders team and the Wakandans team, and they're not needed on attack anymore because you have your Marauders and your Inhumans team, then you just throw them in here on defense, and then you're good to go. And that way, the supernatural guys have only very specific few counters, and the Wakandans, they always have to punch up. I mean, not up, down on anything that they're a counter for. They're not a perfect counter for anything. They're just a kind of good all-around team to punch down with safely, maybe even equal power if you're really good with them. It really depends. And then everything else just really needs to be on defense. You should be building a wall with your Asgardians and your Coulson team. And that's it. Essentially, they're going to hold up the forefront here with your Supernaturals right behind them in the third spot. And then, obviously, with any war defense, once you break through the first one or two teams, they're going to clear out the rest. And you might as well put them in strongest to weakest order, so that way you save points. Because if you put it the other way, then they're going to get 30 points. And at the end of a war, that could make the difference, instead of them not being able to get through. Even though you can technically hide Coulson and still boost him in advance and things like that, you might as well just not bother. Anyway, so those are how to set up your Blitz teams. You have the method if you want to do it your own way for Blitz. You have my lineup using all the metadata that I have and all the game knowledge that I have, as well as what's best for war, just some war tips. So that's everything you need to get you going through the beginning of 2020 for this game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.